Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Behen Chara. This is your host Manya Chauhan and my dearest, beautiful, and according to the popular review, the smarter co-host Shrishti Chopra.
That okay. Although I would not like to use foul language, that's bullshit. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है.
All right, Srishti. So I would just like to take a second and address the things that happened the previous week. We cannot be more grateful to receive the kind of response that we received. There were so many conversations, there were so many first period stories in my inbox, and the friends that you just stopped talking to after school, they came back at my inbox and we were having all these conversations. It was really fun, really fulfilling, really empowering. And also, guys, we heard your feedback. The like there were three main feedbacks that were there. The first one that was common across the board is कि please guys थोड़ा कम बात करो, इतना नहीं सुनना है हमें तुम्हें बात करते हो, क्या हो गया, इतना कहाँ तुम क्यों ज्ञान दे रही हो इतना. The second feedback was that Srishti is the smarter one. So I was like, okay, this is like this. I do not even know why you guys are pointing it out as a feedback. That is just I know. I am the one who dragged her in here and made her do this with me. And the third one was that Manya, you are very funny. So I am like I am
Definitely.
satisfied. I am satisfied.
See, yeah, I am so sorry for digressing, but I think we're two different individuals. And just putting it out very quickly is that we talk over each other because we have a long history of friendship. And
We've known
more
each
than
other
friendship,
forever.
yeah. Like we practically grew out of our shells, read school together. I mean, a few years apart, but together.
Celebrity
तो
kids.
हमारे में चलता है एंड वी आर एक्सट्रीमली सेल्फ अवेयर. तो मत पॉइंट आउट करो कि कौन क्या है कैसे है. आई थिंक व्हाट प्लीज दिस माइट कम अक्रॉस वेरी रूड. वी लव योर फीडबैक, रियली अप्रिशिएट इट, both constructive and positive, but steer clear away from like comparing. But yeah, loved your feedback, and bang on, man. We hope we can do more and more good work.
All right, Srishti. So, what are we talking about today?
So, we're talking about grief, and we're talking about loss. We're talking about managing loss during COVID. And I think before we begin, I have three kind of notes, pointers that I want to give out. First, we are no experts, no psychologists, no psychiatrists. So please take our words with a grain of salt. They are purely indicative of our experiences, our opinions, what we have read and cultivated over the years. And if you feel that grief is something that is overpowering you, please go and see an expert. Secondly, while content creation does not assume any responsibility on its creator, I personally think we're more activists, and activism assumes a lot of responsibility on the activist, which is why we're sorry in the first place for not being able to have a psychologist or an expert or someone who has at least experienced loss during COVID. We promise we'll try to do better. And lastly, a big trigger warning for you. We'll talk about trauma. We'll talk about loss and grief. And if you feel this is something that will trigger you or impact you very negatively, please abstain from watching it. It will be forever on YouTube. You can always come back to it.
And
And
you
I
can
think,
rewatch the previous episode. That one was
and I'll
like
conclude
more
it.
fun and happy stories, so you can rewatch that.
Yeah, and I'll conclude it by saying that I think we as a community, Behen Chara as a community, we are there for you. And I know this is a statement that's just thrown off the hook, but we are sincerely there for you, and we're very empathetic to your causes. So I think both Manya and mine's, while it may not be the right source to reach out to, we can definitely connect you to people who can help you. So please feel free to message us, reach out to us, and we'll make sure to leave a few links in the description box.
Last week we promised you vaginas and boobies and everything, and now we are here with such a heavy topic. But right now, as a community, we all are grieving in one form or another, and we have realized that there is no proper system that actually teaches human beings how to manage it. And before this, this global pandemic kind of situation, the need for that kind of structure was not there. But now we have just somehow become really, really dysfunctional human beings, who do not know how to address your friends while they are grieving, or while whenever you hear a negative news, a sad news, a friend losing someone, your family member losing someone, you do not know what to do. So this is the reason we are here with this podcast. And the times are already really, really tough on all of us. So yeah, let's just talk. We promised human conversations. Here is a human conversation.
And you can probably see that our voice is, we're going off. We don't usually talk like that. We are very loud people. So I think this is something that will affect the tone of our podcast, but we'll try to make it as neutral as possible. So there's a specific reason why we're talking about grief and managing loss. And Manya, what that reason is? Why are we talking about exclusively about grief today?
All right. So this is like a personal experience, and if it is very triggering for you to hear about loss of a loved one, so you can skip to a timestamp that would be mentioned. All right. All right. So two of my closest childhood friends lost their fathers, and I received that message, and the first reaction that I had was tears instantly rolling down my eyes, not able to comprehend what exactly that feeling was, being absolutely, absolutely helpless. That, like, they are the people that have known me since I was like 13, and now I'm 21. Not being able to hug them, not being able to be there for them. And right now, because we are in a situation when these kind of news are just all around us, we have not exactly processed that what the long term effects of the current situation is going to be. It is like going to affect us for out, I don't know how long will this planet be alive. Climate change से हम पहले मार देंगे सब जनों को, पर जब तक भी ऐसे क्लाइमेट चेंज हमें जिंदा रहने देगा, तब तक we will be feeling this kind of a loss. And it is really, really important to process it and understand it in a very healthy manner. And we have tried to research about it. I'm not the person who researches a lot, but we made sure that we go to credible sources and read up on various topics, quote. And so we
And
will be giving you the links.
I think
Everything that we will be
couple
talking
of
about
things,
will be down there in the
couple of
description.
firstly, I think people, because of COVID, um, the deaths that are happening, they're not expected. So, and it's in a blink of a moment. Plus, the people who die of COVID, and who are in hospitals, they're not, like, the family members are not even able to meet them. So when they die, there's an acute gap. There's a longing for them, and this is most often not the case when people die of something other than COVID. So COVID has reformed the state of grief, first. Second, I was reading about the story of a woman who had a miscarriage, but she could not stop and grieve. Grieve at losing a child, because her entire family had COVID. So she had no time to grieve. You know what they're saying?
Exactly.
They're like, rather than grieving, I'd rather save the lives of my other family members who have COVID. So COVID has not is not giving people the time to grieve, and this will or might, it might transform into trauma for a lot of people a few years down the line. So these are some of the things we that have effectively come into this grieving scenario with Rick because of COVID. And other than that, even those who've not lost someone, I think all our mental health are distorted, primarily because we cannot envision a future. We cannot envision a future. We that hope, it's no seeming. We cannot see a
Open-ended.
future. Our imaginations have come to a halt.
The
So
open-endedness of this pandemic has really been very traumatic for a lot of people.
absolutely, absolutely. So while I can say that for those who have disordered mental health, please stick to that time honored promise that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And always, I mean, it could be the most cliched thing to say, but that's the only single thing that I could say straight from my heart is this too shall pass. That's why we are talking primarily about managing loss. And we hope that this, if not any kind of support or guidance, this kind of gives you that reassurance or validation that your grief is absolutely valid, it's normal, and it's something that you should recognize and that you could even work upon, right? And there is no, we are not in any way setting any time limit to your grieving. So yeah, and I think Manya, you should take over from here.
All right.
Man,
so,
I'm very, like, I'm very fluent usually. Words are not coming out of my mouth because I think I'm always, this is dead. I'm each and every word that I'm saying, it just correlates to someone I know. So there's a constant like battle in my head. I didn't think it would be this tough, to be very honest, especially for me because I'm used to difficult conversations. I didn't anticipate the toughness of this, the resilience it would take to even talk about grief, let alone managing it.
I think then I, in my personal life, have been lucky that I have not suffered any personal loss. But grieving at a macro level is also such a
Yeah,
real thing. Listening to stories on Instagram, it has been like it has been quite a year for us. So, Srishti, like, let's get into the technical aspects of it. All right. So,
sure,
what
sure.
is grief? And there are a lot of grief related terms that are being thrown out left and right aajkal on those Instagram infographics. So, like, please explain to us,
I
please
think
educate us.
before we talk about grief, it's important we talk about loss.
All right,
Loss, like the
educate
word,
us.
yeah, sure. Loss, like the word states, it is you no longer having access to something.
And
And
that something
loss
can
is
be
that something can be anything, which is
all right.
weird, but that something can be anything. Access to an emotion, access to a thing, access to your phone, access to a person, anything at all. So which makes me say that loss can be essentially of two types: abstract and physical. So physical loss relates to something that we can touch, that we can measure. That's physical loss for you. Abstract loss, on the other hand, relates to aspects that cannot be measured, that are more experiential in nature. So, say a loss of your social interaction that we all are facing during this pandemic, that relates to abstract loss. Coming down from loss to bereavement. What is bereavement? Bereavement is essentially a state of loss,
All right.
right? And if I've lost something, I'm in that state of loss, and that is when I'm in a state of bereavement. I'm bereaving, I'm a bereaved person. And then, taking the next step from here, so there's loss, there's bereavement, and then there is grief.
All right.
Grief is your response, it's your primarily emotional response to that loss. Just summing it up, there is loss, abstract and physical. Then there's bereavement, which is your state of loss when you recognize that something is lost. And then finally to grief, where you are responding to that thing that you have lost or that person you have lost, right? What people don't understand, or what people have been taught actually, is that there is one universal or predictable pathway to managing grief. I'm so sorry to let you down. Everyone experiences it in their own way as they like, and it's even different across cultures. So a Hindu might manage it differently, while that correlates to religion, not culture. A Hindu might manage it differently, and someone of another religious orientation may manage it differently. So steer away from judging people on how they're managing grief. Go ahead.
It also just depends on, again, this is a conversation that we will be having on this podcast later on about the kind of privilege that you hold. Because in the first lockdown, everybody was, I'm not saying this in a very condescending way, but like, just try to understand, in the first lockdown also there were people suffering, but the people who were on a higher ladder of privilege, the people who were on a lower ladder of privilege were just bringing things to them. So the lockdown is kind of a luxury that a lot of people did not have. And in this wave of COVID in India specifically, the sort of loss that we have seen from the first strict lockdown to the second strict lockdown also just exposes the class gap and the caste gap and the privilege gap that we have in this country. So that is something that
Unites
we
us.
should acknowledge.
It's unite us. It's something that unites us. Because while we are used to managing grief and customarily how our families do it, how our cultures do it, how it's practiced in our religions, COVID has uniformed all of it. Now most researchers who are discovering trauma and grief, they see grief as an either or situation. So they see grief as
Very
either
true.
a stressor.
Very
They
true.
see grief either as just a stressor where it impacts the operational areas of your life, the physical functioning of your life. Are you okay with your relationships? Are you okay at work? Are you conducting your regular chores? They only see grief as a stressor and use it to assess your physical functioning. Or they see grief exclusively in terms of separation, in terms of your separation from the deceased. Whereas that's not
Separation
true.
as in?
No, separation as in the closeness that you might have with the person. You're being separated from that person. So that that relational aspect rather.
All right.
Right? And you will understand it as I talk about it. So it's not an either or situation. It's an and situation. And that's what actually there's a psychologist called Simon Shimshon Rubin, and he said that he actually said that grief is a mix of functional and relational aspects. They all come together, and from there he derived essentially the 2-track model of bereavement.
All right. This is
And under the 2-track,
this is something very interesting. Srishti was explaining this model to me before this podcast, and I think this will be very helpful to you guys.
Yeah. So, settling it once again, one kind of grief relates to your physical functioning, the other relates to your relational aspects, the feelings that you get when you're separated from a person, right? So, in the first track, he established the methods to assess your biopsychological functioning.
All right.
And how did he do that? So, biopsychological functioning entails anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, acute stress disorder, somatic concerns. What are somatic concerns? Your sexual drive, your general health concerns, your eating behaviors, right? And your interpersonal relationships, your self-esteem. This comes under biopsychological functioning, which he established as the first track of bereavement. What is bereavement? Bereavement is the state of loss. And then I think he moved on to the second track, which relates to your relational aspects, the feelings of being separated from a person. And under that, he talks about reconnection. What is reconnection? The strength and the nature or the magnitude of your desire or your wish to connect with the person who has died. That's reconnection. Your memorialization. How do you memorize that person? How do you remember them? Then your negative and positive perceptions with the person perceptions of the person who has died.
All right.
Right? And then conflict. Did you have any kind of conflict with the person who has died? Does that conflict affect you till today, even when they've died? So conflict and all of these things kind of fall under relational aspects, which is the second track of the two-track model of bereavement. And essentially, he combined this model to assess your management of grief. And it actually, it is something that's used to combine clinical data when it comes to grief, loss, and trauma. And I think it's extremely fundamental. Anyone who is understanding or managing grief, please entail that it has two components. And if either one of them is slightly out of sorts, please recognize it, be aware about it, and then probably you can choose how you wish to mend it. Seek professional help, go to a support group, take a counseling session,
Or not
just
mend it. Just sit with it for a while.
Because sit with it for a while, definitely, for sure. So I think this is essentially something that is one of the most basic and one of the most fundamental researches into understanding grief.
It sounds like something out of a Babaji ka satsang wala thing ki do this, but like from a very, very practical experience, all the situations in which I have suppressed a negative emotion has either led to a burnout or like a very a prolonged period where I had anxiety. And this is a thing that I say a lot to my best friend कि मेरी ना body में anxiety आ गई है. तो फिर उसका translation यही होता है कि मतलब I did not process that particular negative emotion एक हफ्ते पहले जब मुझे करना चाहिए था. And because अब पुराना इतना build-up हो रहा है तो फिर अब अगर कुछ छोटा सा भी किसी triggering हो जाता है तो सीधा body में anxiety आ जाती है and I become all shaky
and more
dysfunctional.
But on the other hand, when you accept these emotions, you are automatically in control of them.
True.
Because something that you accept,
I can
no longer monitor you.
I can second
and you
that.
are in control of it. And when you accept them, let them flow, you take back the control, thereon begins the process of recovering. So understanding this model is fundamental to initiating that process of recovering. And I'm not saying that once you listen to it from tomorrow, you need to fix all of the problems that might exist. No, it is just you be cognizant of what you're feeling. See, ऐसा कोई इंसान नहीं है जो दुखी नहीं होता. If as someone who has lost a very close family member, I can assure you it's one of the worst feelings in the world. Anyone will cry on losing a loved one. Anyone, koi bhi top ho, koi bhi ho. But what distinguishes people who kind of still are able to monitor their lives in a positive manner is that they're aware of what they're feeling. What imagery do you use to remember a person? I lost my grandfather. When I remember it, what kind of image I'm building in my mind? And does this, so I always create an inspirational image where I'm always trying to follow whatever he told me to, whatever he told me, the kind of lessons that he gave me. That's the kind of image narrative I am building in my head. Whereas some people might be completely opposite in building that kind of narrative. Some people might be inherently curious. So it produces a local inflammation response. And that shows that grief can cause stress. It has mental health implications. And it's just not because people say, "Arey, bas ho gaye na, 13 din ho gaye, ab come on, get over it." ऐसा नहीं होता.
All right, so just shouting it again for the people at the back, there is no timeline to grieve. You can sit with your emotions for as long as you want. A year, a day,
Exactly.
0 days, a month, 10 years. It is your process. It is your journey to go through, and just do not feel invalidated. Do not ever feel that whatever emotion I am feeling currently is invalid. It is valid, and you do not have to put a timeline on it. Be harmful.
When you're making that decision for yourself कि इसके लिए कोई timeline नहीं है, make that decision in awareness and not in ignorance, and awareness of yourself and of others, which makes me think about disenfranchised grief. What is disenfranchised grief? Disenfranchised grief is the kind of grief that is not legitimized or acknowledged or recognized by the society. But just because it's not recognized by the society does not mean it's not valid. So
Happens.
people
I think you were also on. I think you also in your life must have been on the, providing end of this kind of toxic behavior to others. But it is very important to just learn from it, that just because you do not understand why this person is still grieving about somebody who, maybe died 10 years ago, or maybe they were not close to, or maybe it was just a relative of a friend. So it does not make the emotions that they are feeling in that. Maybe there's a person who worked 3 years of their life working their ass off to get admission in a certain master's college, and then because of the pandemic they were not able to go, and right now they are feeling stuck. Maybe it can be about, the experiences that you never got to have. A lot of people who, just graduated from high school award, the 12th pass करके, बड़े सारे बच्चे जैसे 12th pass करके they are in college and they are missing on extremely important, extremely personality building life experiences. If they are feeling that they are missing out, and they are identifying that loss to certain kind of negative emotions, that is not invalid. All right, you are facing this kind of a loss right now, it is not valid because another person is facing another kind of loss right now, is also very problematic and ignorant. And also then you explaining yourself that I should not be feeling sad about, missing a job opportunity because people are dying, is also very harsh on yourself and not a healthy way to deal with it. And
exactly,
we are not attacking you, because we understand that this is not the kind of conversation that anybody has ever had in a brown household. This is, we're just dysfunctional families, we're happy about it, but because of the scale of things.
And I was watching a movie in which a woman had lost her ex-partner or ex-spouse.
All right.
And she was
they were separated.
Yeah, she was with someone else. She was with someone else. And she got to know that her ex-spouse or ex-partner has passed away, and she was grieving heavily. See, understand that even though she was not presently with that said person who lost his life, she still had an emotional connection to him. And it is true, whenever a person dies, it stimulates a lot of memories. So this kind of grief is disenfranchised. कि अब तो तुम उनके साथ रह भी नहीं रहे हो. You have separated. He's your ex partner, ex spouse, whatever. But still, it's important to recognize that grief still exists. Something that I'd like to discuss is crying. Now, at least in brown households, at least in households that are similar to mine, it is considered that crying is mostly the only response to grieving, to grief or to loss. No. While crying is the most common response, it is not the only response.
There are so many other kind of responses. Like you can experience shock, you can experience disbelief, you can experience denial, you can experience anxiety, you can experience anger, a period of sadness, loss of sleep, loss of appetite.
Anything, like I said, 2-track model of bereavement. But which brings me to a term called coping ugly. It was coined by a professor at Columbia University, George Bonanno. Even if I'm not pronouncing it right, cut me some slack. Enough of it.
Links in description.
Coping ugly, even the most resilient people, they develop characteristics that do not correspond or correlate to their natural self. So, laughter, or say even narcissism. I may not be a narcissist, usually. But when I lose someone, I become a narcissist. It's not wrong. Coping ugly is not wrong. And even a lack of crying, it is a natural reaction. In fact, sometimes a sign of resilience also. So while absence of grief, if you're not grieving even after losing something, and if it does not correspond to you repressing your emotions, it's okay.
We need to
Lack
normalize
of
that. We need to
brings
normalize.
your
I think the basic line that is going to be repeated a lot of times is that every kind of grief is valid grief, and there is no timeline to it. You can start and stop it and then restart it, like whenever you want and whenever it feels natural to your own self.
and
Learn. And also, like, to the person who is grieving right now and seeing this, do not feel ashamed to grieve about things or to be worried about things that are extremely valid in your life right now. And just to like give sort of an example, if there is a person who has lost their primary caregiver, and instead of mourning the loss of that primary caregiver, their main concern right now is that how things are going to be, financially from this stage in their family. So that is also extremely valid, extremely okay, extremely natural. You do not need to feel ashamed about your emotions. If you're there are a lot of people who are grieving because of loss of loved ones, loss of opportunities, loss of a stable mental health, loss of your true state of being. So how to take care of a either yourself, and b also a friend of yours who is grieving, and you do not understand how you're supposed to support them and kya karna chahiye. Because this is something that I hear, unfortunately I have heard so many times in the past year कि मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा मैं उसे क्या मैसेज करूँ, मैं फोन करूँगी तो मैं बोलूँगी क्या. And personally, according to me, this is not how healthy functional human beings should be. We should know how to take things forward. First thing is understanding that there is no such thing as social distancing. We are just physically distant. And knowing this just brings a sense of relief that even though we are physically apart, we are still connected in our heart, in our soul, and maybe through social media, WhatsApp, etc., etc. Also, because we've talked a lot about a person not grieving, if that particular person, you have sensed that that particular person is not in that stage abhi, तो फिर ऐसे जबरदस्ती मत थोपो. I know that you are coming from a place of empathy, but still you need to understand that it is not about you, it is about the person that you are trying to support. And while a person is grieving, they often receive messages कि कोई भी help चाहिए हो तो बता देना. But while you are doing that, try to put in particular things, because the person is not actively thinking at that point कि मुझे इस चीज के बारे में help चाहिए होती है. And you know कि who that particular person is and what you can provide. So just list out things कि अगर X Y Z इस चीज के लिए कोई भी help चाहिए हो तो let me know, I am here. The next thing that you can do is just let them know कि जब भी उन्हें बात करनी है तब तुम अवेलेबल हो बात करने के लिए. अभी बात करना ऐसा इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है, और ऐसा नहीं है कि अभी के अभी एड्रेस करना है, अभी के अभी तुम ऐसे थेरेपी में जाके बैठ जाओ. यू कैन सिट विद योर sadness, you can sit with your loss, and just let the other person be.
जैसे ग्रीफ का कोई प्रीसेट नहीं होता है, वैसे ग्रीफ रिस्पॉन्स जो ग्रीफ कर रहा है उसको उसकी तरफ तुम्हारा रिएक्शन, तुम्हारा रिस्पॉन्स, तुम्हारा सपोर्ट, उसकी भी कोई रिजिड मेथडोलॉजी नहीं होती है. Cultivate versatility when you're dealing with these things. See, modify your reactions and your perceptions basis of situations and people, which is very important. And then think from a place of empathy. They're then talking about people who have actually lost someone.
Those people, first of all, extremely sorry, and we're just sending in prayers to heal you,
Yeah.
to heal your family.
And now
and also then how to deal with all that. There is no fixed mechanism that one needs to follow. Earlier there were a lot of researches that told कि पहले denial का आता है phase, फिर acceptance का आता है, फिर इसका आता है, उसका आता है. But considering the current situation, all that has changed. We will be reading up a lot of new research of how people are coping up with COVID related grief. Here are a few things that you can do. You can connect with people virtually, of course, and talk to family members, talk to your friends. I assure you that there are a lot of people in this world who care about you a lot and would love to hear whatever you have to say.
Most people, not all people, most people, they usually do not require professional help. What do I mean by professional help? Psychologists, psychiatrists, so on and so
Do
forth.
not require it.
Right? They usually do not require. But some people, when they're grieving, it extends over a period of time and it starts to seep into your day-to-day life where you're no longer even mildly functional. Then it's time for you to recognize if you need professional, right? And then coming to support groups, इंडिया में कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है सपोर्ट ग्रुप्स का, पर वो एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. एंड वील ट्राई टू फाइंड कि कैसे मतलब वील ट्राई टू फाइंड सम एंड वील ट्राई टू लिस्ट देम डाउन. बट maybe think of joining a support group or educational classes or peer led support groups even. ठीक है, उसके बाद consider things like art therapy. I used to look down on art therapy. I don't know why. Art therapy is great. Please consider it. उसके अलावा practice bereavement written disclosure. Matlab, see, try to express your grief in a written format. And when you're doing it, journaling. When you're doing it, first try sense making. Sense making as in what, why, how. Make sense of the situation. Then implement it by benefit finding. Benefit finding kya? Developing a greater appreciation of life or life even after your loss. So summing it all up, decide if you need professional help or not. If you are confused, then definitely seek professional help. This way you'll know if you need it or not. There are a lot of support resources available: grief counseling, professional support groups, or educational classes, or peer-led support groups. Two things that really worked for me was bereavement-specific written disclosure, which is directed writing or journaling, and art therapy. Consider all of these things and see what works for you. If there are other things that may work for you, go on and if you can, if you know of some things that work for you, please list them down in the comment box. Thanks a lot for being with us today. अब मैं इसको off कर दूं. Before we say bye, thank you so much for the amazing feedback. Please tell us what you think of this episode in the comment section.
Yes,
please
interact
go on
us. Please interact with us.
Go on Instagram. Please go on Instagram. Right at @ Behenchara, BEHENCHARA, and follow Behenchara. Mane and I both try to put out a great amount of content on that as well. And also a lot of people reached out to me saying who didn't know me, who I was. So here's just a thing. I'm Srishti. I am 19 years old and I too run a podcast and so if you wish to check out,
the link will be down below.
I have
podcast
a podcast
for school kids, but that is not just for school kids. That's for everybody.
Which you'll know when you go to add podcast for school kids. So go and follow both Behenchara and podcast for school kids. Also reach out to us in case you have any views on this, both positive, negative, constructive, फलाना ढिमकाना, और बताओ क्या सोच रहे हो.
बातचीत करो भाई, बातचीत करो.